Hello, everybody, and welcome to That Pod, formerly known as the More You Noble Sports Podcast. We have exciting news in the world of baseball pods, mainly Cardinal pods, and mainly what I mean by that is Caleb Noble across the screen from me, or next to me on the right or the left, whichever way you're looking, and my pod. We are now known as the Hard Nine Pod.
Yeah, I think it was time for a name change. We've been thinking about it for a while, and it took us a while to come up with a name, but I just feel like it has a little bit of a better ring to it and encompasses what we want to do a little bit better.
It does. Really, the first one worked well. Shout out to Trevor Manis for that. Former coach, former player, former friend. Well, not former, still friend of mine. Came up with the More You Noble as a cliche at softball practice one day, and it was pretty funny. Then shout out to friend of the show, guest of the show, friend of the family, D. Pagel, for the new name. At Page One Plays, by the way, on Twitter. Go follow me. Hands out a lot of parlays. I'm not saying they're going to win. I'm just saying he's handing them out. That's all I'm saying.
He does.
But I do like the name it. Cardinal, first of all, your guy, Tony La Russa, your favorite. So that we hit that. We hit baseball. And then if we ever want to make like double entendre shirts, we've got that as well.
Yeah, double entendre shirts. I don't know if we're going to be doing that. The hard nine.
I mean, no. All I'm saying is there's an option.
I mean, yeah, the number 9 is obviously synonymous with all of baseball in multiple ways, the innings, the batting order, everything like that.
Ted Williams, Terry Pendleton. My fifth grade baseball number was 9.
You forgot. Isn't Enos Slaughter number 9? Wasn't he?
Terry Pendleton was. I don't know.
Whatever. It's retired now. I know that. I don't know who wore it. Yeah, so we're going to get into free agency first.
Yeah, let's Cardinals. Yes. Let's do
that. Before we do that, let's just mention the Astros and say congrats to the Astros and Dusty Baker. I know it was really cool. I mean, let's just get that out of the way. I don't want to get too deep into the World Series, but we should just get out of the way. Congrats to Dusty Baker, Yordan Alvarez, and Jeremy Pena. They all came up huge. And rest in peace to the Bryce Harper magical run we thought was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it started off great in the World Series. And, hey, when they come, I mean, they have found, like you said, we don't need to get deep into it. Whatever, people can say whatever they need to say. But the Astros have found a really good formula right now with having that young stud pitching and that great bullpen, which we're going to actually talk about later when we get to Cardinal free agency. They're going to have to pay these guys. Like you see what the Braves have done. They're going to have to pay these guys. So it's going to be really interesting to see where the Astros go moving forward.
Well, they've got Bregman and Alvarez locked up. That's the centerpiece for your team.
And Tucker probably extension, if not this year, coming soon, right? Isn't that what I read?
Maybe we'll see. I don't know what he wants, but yeah I would assume they're going to try to get that done. Jeremy Pena, they might try to pay him young as well.
I have to assume Justin Verlander will be back there next year. So
I don't know. He's going to get. I don't know what he's going to do.
No, I don't know either. Yeah, but anyway, you're right. Dusty getting his first World Series. Houston, shout out to that.
Yeah, cool. All right, I'm over it. They won. Surprise.
Okay, so let's have you start. Let's go over the news today. It's funny. Okay, just so our viewers know, literally Caleb and I recorded a pod yesterday. Caleb, however, doesn't understand how to delete things off of his computer. So he had too many files on his computer. It cut off our pod. Really good thing because all the shit we said yesterday, like everything yesterday for 40 minutes on that pod, don't mean dick today. So I'm glad that that's all gone. So, hey, shout out to you and being inept with your computer usage.
Yeah, it was meant to happen, I guess. It was meant to happen. So we'll get into what happened today. It wasn't necessarily news. It was a Derek Gould clarified
say that 3 times fast.
Derek Gould No, I'm not going to do that. I clarified the reality of the payroll going up and what that could mean. Apparently, in some fucked up universe, the Cardinals count money they're not even paying this year against their salary. I don't know how that's a thing.
To clarify, your clerical clarify. So does everyone in the major leagues. It's a rule.
Okay, no, it's not a rule that they need to. Okay, it is a rule that you have to.
It is.
It's against the CBA, the competitive balance tax. That's a rule. But when you're not going close to the competitive balance tax, you can operate as an organization as if you're not spending that money because they're not.
But they are.
They're not. They're not spending the money Nolan Arenado's making this year. They're not spending.
So it's going to count against them. Okay, and I saw somebody. I think is it Jason Hill? Right? Is that his name? Jason Hill. Follow guys. Go follow that guy. Like again, I was talking with Kyle, a couple Kyles today on Twitter, and I essentially said, I just like Michael Scott, I need you to explain this to me like I'm five. Like I read it 14 times. And essentially what he said was look at it as you have your income and you have your bills going out, but somebody gives you an extra $100. It doesn't necessarily affect your income, but it does mean you could eat at a better restaurant for dinner. Something like that. That was paraphrased
Okay,
terribly.
before we should probably explain this a little bit better. So what happened was today. Everyone, including most people in the media in St. Louis, outside of Derek Gould, who I'm now trying to think he's just smarter than everyone else because he's the only one that said this, was
Highly
operating under
intelligent.
the assumption that the Cardinals were going to have currently on the roster around 135, $140 million payroll
Right.
as constructed today. Because we assumed with Wainwright's deferral of the $10 million and with Nolan Arenado's $16 million, I believe, coming in from the Rockies, that would open up all that money. Apparently, that money is still on the payroll for what they're spending. Now that's strange to me. The Wainwright stuff, they have to spend that. There's some rule. So that $10 million, I'm not even going to worry about that. That's already there. So now I'm going to operate under $150 million is where they're at currently. That's what I'm going to say. Now, when it comes to Arenado, yeah, it's on their payroll because the Rockies are giving them $16 million, and then you can just view it as they have that $16 million, but they still have to spend that $16 million. So it would be like if you gave me twenty
Correct.
dollars for dinner. Now I have that $20 million, but I still have to give the person $20 million to eat their dinner. You know what I mean? And they don't. I just don't get to
20
say
million for dinner?
$20. I just don't get to say, oh, my dad gave me $20, so now I get to eat here. No, I have to give them that money you
Right.
gave me. So that is, but
Right.
my problem with this, if they're going to operate under the assumption that that is part of their payroll, is that is not part of the money you're paying. So what they're doing is one big fugazi of saying the payroll went up, but the money out of their pocket that they're spending, that they said was from the fans showing out for Albert Pujols, is not the case. They're just spending the same amount of
Correct.
money, but getting part of that money, so really not even spending it.
So
Did
legitimately
that make
yesterday,
sense?
Caleb and I talked about how were they going to spend 50 million. But they're not. They're not. They're going to spend between 20 and 30 million, which changes this podcast way differently than what you and I talked about yesterday. And also a little bit more not somber, but it guarantees the fact they're not signing a shortstop. Like take them off the board. They're not signing them.
There are some interesting things that could happen here. I don't know. So they haven't come out and said this. It's still speculation. Derek Gould said he expects them to be in the 180 to $185 million range in payroll. Now, I don't know if they're going to operate under that. I don't know because it ended up being I'm confused because when I looked at their 2021 payroll, Nolan Arenado's $35 million he was owed that year was completely wiped off the payroll. They didn't pay it. So how now in 2023 are they now counting that? That's what I'm confused about.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like
I
I
told
don't
you.
get it.
You have to explain to me like I'm five, and even then I still don't understand it.
And here's the thing that they should do. I don't know if they will do it. You should operate under the fact that you're now paying that $185 million that your payroll is going to be because you're not. You're not paying that. You're getting $20 million in.
I agree. So their payroll should be 205.
If we're being honest, and then here's the thing about that: if you do that, Wainwright's money comes off next year, and then you can go back and start building up like they want to do each year because they want to go up a certain amount of money each year in payroll. That was their plan before COVID. So that's what they could do. I don't know, but it leaves you $20 million to fill the
Let,
catcher spot, which leads me to believe that they're going to go
let,
via trade for that. Correct?
yes.
They're not going to
Yes.
go Willson
Let me
Contreras.
say this with all due respect. And you know that when the phrase "with all due respect" starts, it's like the but and then the comma. Everything you say after it is really fugazi, correct? But with all due respect, it does not make the Wayno deal look as good. Let me just say that 17.5 million for a guy who's going to be your number 4 or your number 5 starter. I'm sorry, makes very little sense to me. Outside of here we go again with another farewell tour. That's how I view. I'm not saying that's what is happening. That's a perception that feels very real to me right now. Because why would you spend $17.5 million? And I understand you posed this on Twitter today, and somebody replied to Charlie Morton. Charlie Morton's their number 2 or number 3 starter in Atlanta. Like, also, how much of 6 years younger than Wayno?
He
7
also
years
has one
younger
of the
than Wayno?
highest Ks per nine in baseball every year.
Correct. Like, let's not make that comparison here. Adam Wainwright, $17.5 million is, I'm sorry, too much money. That's too much money, in my opinion.
And here's the thing. I think a lot of this could be unfair criticism because we don't know what they're going to get their payroll up to. We have no idea.
That is correct.
I will say if it is the 183 being reported, including Nolan and Wainwright's money inside of that $183 million, you came out and said to your fans, "Thank you for showing up." We had over. They expected 2.8 million fans this billion fans this year. They got 3.3 billion. That
Hold
is,
on. With a B,
I believe so. Is a
there were
million.
3 billion people that went to
Okay,
the.
sorry, million. I got myself messed up.
Whoo,
Sorry. They
said,
so they
wow.
had so they had 500,000 more fans in attendance than they expected. You
Right.
came out and said thank you to the fans. We're raising payroll. If you don't actually raise your payroll that you're spending, that's bullshit.
Here's
Absolutely
okay.
horrible.
One of the
If
things
that's
I
what
brought up.
happens.
One of the things I brought up yesterday, and you got a little bit heated with me, but people don't know that now. But that's fine. I'm telling you right now, you're going to probably get a catcher via trade, and you're going to get two other small. This whole idea of, and Mo said it, we're getting a big bat. Where is the big bat coming from? Like, who is it? Because he said that was, is it Jock Peterson? I mean, that's somebody that's going to
No.
be in your
Why
price
would
range.
you want Josh
Today, Bob
Peterson?
Nightingale comes out and says they're interested in Kevin Kiermaier. They shouldn't be. There's zero reason for that to even be a thing. And if we are, what the fuck are we doing? Is it Michael Brantley? Like that, those are the guys I think we're going to have to set our sights on. My thought was we had $50 million to spend. Uh, that's where one of the shortstops come in. It's not. We're not signing one of those guys, so don't even talk about it anymore. They're not. They're not going to do it.
Okay,
Wilson
look, hold on.
Contreras. If you
Stop for one
hold
second.
on, if you sign Wilson Contreras, that's a whole lot of your
That's
budget right
all of
there.
your money, and
Right.
not to mention the fact that he's
So
not
you're
worth it.
not.
So
Now here's. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Oh, don't get all discouraged over
I
there.
think we shouldn't be doing that. Just let them fly by and say this is what they should do, and say, oh well, let's go get Michael Brantley and I don't know Danny Jansen. No, because they said one they wanted to get a protection for Nolan and Goldie. They said that was something that he said.
I
He said the payroll is going up because the fans were there, which means the money they spend should be going up. So I don't really have any interest in backing off what I believe they should do because they're going to go out there. And if they go out there and do this stuff where they get Kiermaier and they get Danny Jansen, that's all they do, then we can be critical of them at that time. But I also think it might be unfair to say that they're not going to be in the market for any big bats just for the simple fact that this news came out that they've probably been operating under that assumption the whole time that this was going to be their payroll. So they had plans to still go get a guy while saying all this stuff, while knowing all this stuff. Like this isn't while this is news to us, it's not news to them. So maybe you look at a trade. Maybe that's where they get their big bat. Maybe
correct.
a guy like a Teoscar Hernandez becomes available because the Blue Jays have said they want outfielder versatility. They're left-handed. Maybe something like that does happen. Um, I don't know. I'm
I
under. I think they should
I
get to
don't see
$200 million easily.
I don't see a middle of the order Blue Jays bat outside of one of their catchers be trade here. Okay, let's talk about catchers because Wilson Contreras has been and all year last year, like man, he looked great in a Cardinal uniform. When you start to look at the numbers, it's going to be a lot for a guy who's entering his 30s who hasn't caught a ton of games. It brings up Sean Murphy. Now today, I saw somebody report from the Yankees side, and again, this is coming from the Yankees side, that even though they have Trevino and who's the other guy,
Wrote that. Higashioka is a free agent, I believe.
yeah. Okay. That they still may enter the Sean Murphy sweepstakes. And the belief was that it would take one of their shortstops and Dominguez, right?
Yeah,
They're stud.
what's that not gonna happen. No way.
Here's the question: if you're Oakland, you don't have to deal Sean Murphy. He's cheap. He's cost controlled for 3 years. Why are they looking to deal Sean Murphy?
Because they have one of the top catching prospects in all of baseball, and everyone knows that they want to get their payroll down before they are sold to
Yeah,
Las
he played
Vegas.
last year. What is his name?
Shea Langoliers.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the guy they want for the future, and he's way cheaper than Sean Murphy's going to be.
Okay, so but again, they're going to get top market value, I think, for that guy.
They're not though, because you look at. I don't think the Yankees. You think the Yankees are going to give a Volpe and Dominguez while they have Trevino, who just want to go glove? No. So who's the
I
market
get
for it?
it. I don't.
There's no
All I'm
market for
saying is
that.
I worry. This is what I'll say. Whether it's him, it's Kirk. I want nothing to do with Danny Jansen. You brought it up on Twitter before. The injury history. I know he's been good in 70, 60 games. We need a guy who, in my opinion, can catch 100 to 125 games. Not a guy who can catch 50 to 70. And also, if you want to talk about Kirk, like he's never caught 80 games at any level. Any
No, but
level
he
in
bets
baseball.
fifth in your lineup immediately when you get him.
I agree, but now what you're saying is, okay, you're going to catch 80 games. That means Andrew Kisner is catching 80 games, and that means those other 80
Not
games.
necessarily.
hold on. Let me finish. That means those other 80 games, Kirk is DHing, which means Nolan Gorman is getting traded.
Which isn't
So
necessarily, that's also not necessarily true. You don't know how many games he can play. You do know that the Blue Jays had multiple options at catcher that they like to rotate in and out to keep them fresh, but that doesn't mean that Alejandro Kirk's not capable of catching 100 games.
I
We
get,
don't know that to be a
I
fact.
will say at that frame, I don't know that he catches 120 games a year.
I
That's
don't know. I
all I'll
mean,
say.
I don't, no one needs 120 games. You need 100, 105, 110 is what you need. But
Okay,
that's not,
that's
I mean,
100 to
Yadi never
120.
caught 120 games. It was very
Huh?
rare. It was very rare for Yadi to catch that many games.
That is wrong. That is
Over the
equivocally
last six,
false.
7 years? No, it's not. Like maybe when was the last time Yadi hasn't caught 100, he caught 120 games in 2021. But other than that, he was right around the 113 mark. He had a lot of injuries. I mean, oh my God, he played a lot more games than I thought he did.
That's what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah, but you're not going to get Yadi. I think we've established that
I
already.
get it. I get it. So what all I'm saying is, then that's fine. If you're here's my concern. Okay, let me just break it down maybe in simpler terms, not for you, but for me. If we're giving up two big prospects for a catcher who's going to essentially be a guy who's going to catch 90 to 100 games, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
That's
That's what I'm
every
saying.
catcher in baseball now, though. Like, who do you get then?
Okay,
If you're
but
not going to
outside,
get someone that's a massive impact when he's playing, you're going to go settle for Christian Vasquez, who's not a massive impact when he's playing. And
actually,
in fact,
yes,
a
I'm fine
report
with
came
that.
out the other day that Vasquez really enjoyed having two catchers that he relied upon because his wear and tear on his body wasn't as much. So now you're going to have Kisner playing the same amount of games anyway.
What I'm saying is this, and it goes back to let's all go back to this, all right? Because I think it does circle back to Ivan Herrera. I really do, right? 22 years old, top
Yep.
prospect in the Cardinals organization since we drafted him, top 100 in MLB. What do they think of him? Because I do think that is a big question in all of this. If
I
they
think they've
believe that
answered it.
Herrera, hold on, if they believe that Herrera is still the future, then I think Christian Vasquez is your bridge. Otherwise, I think they go get a Murphy or a Kirk. I want nothing to do with Danny Jansen. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm wrong. I know a lot of
I
people think I'm
I
wrong.
I I think that's who they're going to get is Danny Jansen, if I'm being honest with you. But I think they're answering the question of not believing fully in Ivan Herrera by going in the catcher market, as they've
Okay.
said.
So
Like that's my belief. I could be
do you
wrong.
believe he becomes available via trade then?
No, I don't think anyone wants him. He's plummeting in draft. He's plummeting in value every month. Every month.
So another catcher we draft and starts off as a high prospect, we refuse to trade him, and then now all of a
Well, they
sudden,
didn't refuse to trade him. He was 20 years old. He's only been here for 2 or 3
well,
years.
there were a lot of times I heard this is Yachty's replacement. I've heard that many times from
Yeah, that's
people
what
within the
people thought,
organization.
but he's plummeting down prospect rankings every single month,
Yeah.
and he
But
has
how do
been
we know
for
now?
3 years.
He's not playing. How can he be plummeting? He hasn't played in 3 months.
Okay, it's October. I mean November. He hasn't played in 1 month.
Well,
He's
their
been
season was done in
okay. I'm not saying he
September.
plummeted this month. Every month when he was playing, he just kept going down.
Okay.
People kept
All right.
passing
So
him.
it's going to be interesting to see that. Of the three that we talked about, who would you like the most?
Murphy, but they're not going to get
Okay.
him.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I can say Murphy, like he's the best player out of all three of them, in my opinion. But are you going to? But that comes with a price of maybe Nolan Gorman being gone. So then Murphy's probably not my option. I don't know. I have no idea what the market's going to look like. I think they're going to do something none of us have talked about, or none of us will be talking about in multiple areas. And there might be something. And here's where I land on this. Last year, I believe Carlos Correa landed in the Twins' lap, and it was an opportunity they couldn't pass up with the $35 million option laden deal. Who's to say that there's not a market for one of the big bats out there, whether it's Xander Bogarts or it's not going to be Turner Correa, but it could be like a Xander Bogarts where he doesn't get the deals he thinks and he lays in and he falls right into Carl's lap and they say, we can't turn this down. That is a possibility. So I
It
think
is.
it's very fluid. The offseason is very fluid because everything that they do that they can do hinges off the last move they made. So if they go get Sean Murphy or Danny Jansen, not very much. They're not paying very much. So now where do they spend another 17 to $22 million that they have?
I,
I don't
I
know.
Here's what I'll say. I think, and you and I've talked about this, and I think it's fair. It's been a long time since the Cardinals signed a big free agent. So honestly, the trade market, even for the bat, in my mind, makes more sense. You were sitting on 10 guys probably in your farm system that you have to make decisions on, maybe 15 that you're going to have to make a decision on, and what you're going to do. And I'm glad you and I aren't making those decisions because every day it changes for me. If we're going to be honest, every day it changes. So they're going to have to make decisions on O'Neill, on Carlson, on Gorman, on Yepes,
Stop. They don't have
on
to make any
Donovan.
decisions on Dylan Carlson. He's your center fielder.
We don't. We don't.
He's your
You and
center
I
fielder.
think that, Caleb. We don't know that.
He should be. If it's not, they're
That's
idiotic.
okay. That's a different argument. All right, that's a different
You
argument.
think
I'm
they have
telling
any
you
doubt in
that I
Derek
believe
Carlson
that
right
the
now?
organization is probably having internal conversations, and his name is probably in that group of 10 to 15 players that they have to make. And maybe the decision is he is our everyday center fielder. Put him out there, give him 500 to 600 at bats, and let's make a decision from there. That's fine, but I'm letting you know that I think that they're going to have to make a decision. I could see two trades. There's two guys that are sitting there that you went to that 17 million mark that I think is probably even you could get under it. That in my mind make this team way more competitive, and it's Andrew Chafin and it's Robert Suarez.
Yeah, but you're talking about spending 14 of that $20 million on those two
I get
players.
it, and what I'm saying is, if I understand that, I'm just saying at least one. There's one.
I don't know. I agree. And I would rather go Rafael Montero than Andrew Chafin, for being honest. Um, he's way more of an impact. Andrew Chafin, he's good, but I think they have lefties that can cover those lefty innings. I would like Rafael
I
Montero.
see. I don't think they do. I think Zach Thompson's still an unknown.
Okay,
Miguel Genesis Cabrera is an unknown at this point. We don't know what he's got left.
how can you watch what Houston just did and say lefty relievers should be a priority?
I get it.
They didn't
But
have one.
I'd like one.
I don't care. If you can strike out left-handed
Okay,
batters at the
that's
same rate of
fair.
righties, I do not care what
That's
hand you're.
fair.
It's the same way with
But
hitters. It's like when people say we need a lefty bat, so we shouldn't get Trey Turner. He can hit righties. I don't care where he
right
stands in the batter's box. I
now,
don't care.
to like the year before, Atlanta had two or three stud left-handed out of the bullpen and one.
Yes,
So you
yes,
can
but
say
what
how
I'm
can you
saying
watch
is
the Astros and say that? Well, I watched the
no.
Braves the
You're
year
no.
before.
See now you're completely proving my point again. No one was telling the Braves they needed a right-handed reliever in there
I,
because they were bringing in Matzik. I don't care what hand they throw with. I want
okay,
them to be able to get
I
both
got
sides out.
good clarification there. Good. What I'm saying is, let me now clarify the clerical clarification. I would like a massive arm out of the bull. Another one. One.
Andrew Chafin's not a massive arm.
He gets outs. But okay, so it's Suarez.
I mean, yeah, it would be Robert Suarez or it'd be Rafael Montero, which would be my
Yeah.
number one target if they had money. I think this is so interesting to me because I genuinely don't know what they're going to do. I
No.
don't know what their payroll is going to be. If Derek Gould's saying he thinks 180 to 185, he's probably right spot on, I would guess. Um, that's not acceptable to me. They should be pushing 200 every year.
Weren't they?
Um,
Hold on. Weren't they 185 at the end of last year?
yeah, but there would be opening day, they'd be at 180, which would be like a 16% increase from last year
Okay.
when they were in opening day because you get the contracts you bring on and stuff like that.
Right.
And the people you bring up make 700,000 when they're up or whatever it is. I don't know, and I think it's going to be interesting. I think if I'm the Cardinals, I look very heavily into trading Jordan Montgomery because that's another $10 million you free up right there if you trade him. I
Yeah.
think he would almost not even be a. I would trade him.
One thing we didn't mention, they added transferred Reyes and Verhagen from the 60-day
It means
IL
nothing. We'll see what
to
happens.
the
Just saying, it doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. We'll see
60-day
what
IL to
happens.
the 40-man. That does not mean they're going to be on the opening day roster. It simply means that November 18th is the non-tender day. They have to make a decision on a lot of guys. It does look like once again Paul Mosela coming out and saying Paul DeYoung's going to get a
Doesn't mean
shot.
anything.
He said it last year and it meant something.
He said Matt Carpenter was going to be the third baseman, and 2 days later we got Nolan Arenado. It
I
means
get it,
literally nothing. It's
but
no
also
speak.
Matt Carpenter was hitting fourth for this lineup in July.
How
So
do you know? No, that's not true. By the way,
it is true. Go look
Nolan
it up.
Arenado was batting fourth every day. That's not true. So how do
When
you know
no, he
every
wasn't. He
year?
was Goldie was hitting 2. Arenado was hitting 3,
Tyler O'Neill didn't
and
get moved up to 3 in July because I believe that's when that happened.
maybe June. Sorry, June. Halfway through the year.
Either way, that's not the point. I don't care about 2020, and I don't care about 2021, and I
But
don't
you
care
brought
about
it
Mike.
up.
I don't care about what Mike Stilt was doing. He's not here. Okay, so how about okay? I don't remember where I was going with this. Well,
Huh?
no one cares about Matt Carpenter. He wasn't playing third base. Nolan Arenado was. He could
You
say
brought it up.
he's not. But what do you
You
want him?
brought
To,
it
okay,
up.
stop. What do you want him to say? You want him to go out there and say, "Hey, Paul DeYoung, the guy we're probably trying to trade, he sucks. He's not a part of our plan, and Tom Yim is not our shortstop." Is that what you want him to say?
No, it's not what I want him to say.
Then what do you? Then
But I'm
stop
just
with
saying
this. There's nothing to read into.
he said this before and we with him.
Stop. There's nothing to read into it. He's not going to say Paul DeYoung sucks.
I didn't say that. What do you think happens to him? Answer the question.
I don't care. I hope nothing happens on the field.
They did sign the Fermin, who I assume is Felix Fermin's kid from Cleveland, left-handed hitting shortstop. No, I know nothing about this guy. I'm not even going to claim to.
I don't know. He's depth. He's a depth piece.
Yeah, that's what I assume. All right, so here's what we've decided. Here's what we've clarified. We know absolutely nothing that's going to happen outside of we do believe that they will get a catcher. I do believe it'll be via trade. I do hope it's not Danny Jansen, but you believe that's who it's going to be, and that scares. Hey, maybe he's wait. Look, here's the thing: the only year he caught 100 games once, and he was terrible offensively. Obviously, he was only 24. I understand that, but other than that, he's a guy who's caught 50 to 70 games in his career. That is a concern for me. I'm not saying he can't. I'm saying he hasn't. That's all I'm saying.
You know what? Okay, I also want to get back to the payroll for 1 second because something that was interesting to me. There's now a thing called competitive balance tax payroll. And there's a thing called adjusted like actual payroll that you pay people. I wonder if the Nolan Arenado and Wayno stuff is competitive balance tax payroll, and then the other stuff is their 2022 actual payroll, because last year it said that their competitive balance tax was like 190 something is what they were paying the competitive balance tax, but their adjusted payroll was like 180 at the end of the year. So maybe that's what I don't understand it. I really don't.
No, I don't either, and that's why.
And I
I'm
don't
not
think
even going to
anyone
try
does.
to. I'm waiting for someone again to just say, "Here's how much they're spending." That's what I want. Here's how much we have. Like I look at my bank account.
That can never
Okay,
happen.
and I have to explain to your mom. Here's how much we have when we go into Target. All right, you cannot spend above what I can carry in. That's what I want to know, right? That's what I want to know. Oh,
So, but
we have 30 mil. We prefer to only spend 20 and defer the 10 to maybe the trade deadline. Okay, tell me that. They're not going to. Nobody does except
no,
the
when they
Atlanta
shouldn't.
Braves.
That completely loses all your leverage. And if you want
No,
to go
I
for
know,
Contreras and you
obviously.
say I
I'm
have
just
20
saying.
mil,
I want to
then
know how
someone goes
much we
21,
spend.
you're out of the market. So here's I don't think they know what they're going to do. I genuinely think that. I think they have some plans in place probably. And I bet they're having a lot of conversations with teams right now at the GM meetings. But I bet they have zero fucking idea what they're gonna do. And
Yeah.
here I have a question for you. They have one starting pitcher locked up for next year. One. How do they not look to go get a guy that's under control in the starting rotation? Because you might need to, just so you're not screwed next year. And two, do you look to trade Montgomery? Or I mean, he's really the only one I could see them trading. I think you
Who
have to
is
almost trade him.
who's the Max is the only guy under control after
Matt's
next
right.
year. Right.
And he's
Here's
probably the
the
one you feel
problem,
worst
dude,
about.
and people on Twitter are going crazy about we need to get Q back. We need. Here's the thing: if you're dealing within that 20 mil, you're getting a 3 through a 5. That's what you're getting. Okay, that doesn't make
Unless there's a
this team
trade
better.
that they're being
You
made.
you have those guys. You even have those guys waiting. Right, a healthy Hudson. Who knows? You have Woodford. You have Palante. You have Connor Thompson or Thomas. You have yourself. You have those guys waiting. All right. You have
Yeah. But you
Libertor.
have to get
You
more
have Zach
certainty in that
Thompson.
rotation next year. You have
Like,
to.
why are you going to go spend $5 to $8 million on
I'm
another
not
number
talking
three just
about
because you
that.
have him the next year?
Okay, Tyler Glasnow's rumored to maybe be available. That's a guy I'm talking about. A number one. He's a number one today.
What's his contract look like?
Not. I mean, he's on the race, so it's not a lot.
I'm asking. I generally do not
Not
know what
much.
his.
And also, I don't know. I mean, I want to ask you, do you consider trading Jordan Montgomery, getting his $10 million off the book, and maybe trying to sell at the value that he got when he came over to you last year?
I don't know because he's. I mean, like you went through on one of the previous pods. I mean, he's been that guy every year.
No, he hasn't been the guy he was with the Cardinals every year.
A 2 year. He will make $16 million. In 2023. Oh
Right.
no, wrong. Glasnow will earn a base salary of 5 million while carrying a total salary, 5 mil. But that's he's going to be a free agent, then he's not cost controlled.
I don't think he's not a free agent until 2024.
23 at the
I
end of
don't
the
think that's
23
true. I thought they
season.
bought out his next 2 years of arbitration.
I just looked it up.
Either way, what I'm saying is that's a guy that's via trade that will improve your team and give you a guy at the top of your rotation. So there's other
I
options.
apologize. Hold on. I apologize. You're right. He's 25. It's 25 mil for him in 24.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But he's coming off Tommy John, right?
Yeah, he was lights out against the Guardians in the
No.
playoffs.
I'm just trying to get the facts out there. I'm not
Yeah,
arguing.
he is coming off of Tommy John a lot of but I
Yeah.
don't even care about that anymore, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Right. Why
I feel like
would
everyone
Tampa
has
Bay
that.
trade Tyler Glasnow?
Why'd they trade Blake Snell?
That's fair. So
Why'd
yes,
they
there you go. If you can get him, but we don't have success dealing with the Tampa Bay Rays.
Can we give Matthew Liberatore back?
Can we just
He's
we
here.
make
He's your problem now.
here's the player to be named later. We like Tyler Glasnow. Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, but what that does, and we talked about this before, that means you're going to a 6-man rotation because none of the 5 right now are
I was
unless you
saying
deal
you could
Jordan
trade a
Montgomery.
Jordan Montgomery guy. I don't. I think you go. I do. I don't think he's untouchable.
Right.
Someone would be
No,
interested in
I
Jordan
don't either.
Montgomery, and you know who might be interested in Jordan Montgomery? The Toronto Blue Jays, who you want one of their catchers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like those are the things. That's what I say. I think, and what you think Mo's gonna do? Like anybody, not just you. You
Right.
don't know. No one
No, I
knows.
think you're right. Tyler Glasnow would definitely pique my interest 100%. I mean, I think
I
you
mean,
put
you could
him
then. I mean, imagine him and Flaherty if they become who they can be.
absolutely,
That's a dominant 1 and 2 right there. So that is that.
absolutely.
Those are the moves Mo needs to get creative. If he's and he, let's be clear, Mo is not the guy that sets the payroll he's able to work with. Mo
No,
would probably love to be able to go say, okay, I'm getting Trey Turner because it makes him
right.
look good. But guess what? He doesn't get to do that.
Okay,
So
we didn't discuss this, but let me say this, and this is going to sound wild. I love Trey Turner. He immediately makes this team better for the next 1 to 3 years. I don't know that a 7-year deal for Trey Turner is something I would do as a major league franchise, but somebody's going to. But that's what he's
yes,
going to get, and shout out to him. Well deserved. He deserves every fucking penny he's going to get. All right, every penny and then some. What I'm saying is, if it were my team, I don't think I would give a guy who is honestly statistically one of the worst shortstops in baseball and relies on so much speed. You quoted something, what, 30 to 60 infield hits or something like that.
30,
Like,
30, not 30 to 60,
and
just
as he's
30.
getting ready to turn 30, I don't think I would give that guy that kind of money. That's all I'm saying. I'm not begrudging him. I love him. For the next 1 to 3 years, I think he'd be incredible here. But at 34, 35, 36, 37, I I don't know what you have there. Do you know what I mean?
I'm fascinated by this free agent class because one, there's a ton of talent. There's
Yep.
Aaron Judge, Trey Turner, Correa,
Which which by the way, we're
Degrom.
going to
Hold
get
on, let me
into
finish
on
my
our next
point.
pod.
Huh?
All of those guys. I just want to let people know we're going to get into all of those
Yeah,
free agents on our
yeah.
next pod.
But my point is, I think it's fascinating because all those guys, Degrom, Verlander, they're terrifically talented baseball players, all of them. I think you can make a case that you were concerned about every single one of them and signing them long term. There
Yeah,
is not one of those guys I would sign and feel good about it. Not one.
I'll be honest. There is
Maybe
one, and
Correa.
that's it. Boom. You
Maybe.
took the words right out of my mouth.
And even then, he still has like has he been playing for contracts the last 2 years? Does any of that fall off? He keeps saying Dior store, weird things. He's a weird guy. He has the Houston stuff attached to him.
Yeah.
He's kind of a heel. But everybody else, it's kind of like, okay, great, we signed him. But then it's like, what's it going to look like in 5 years? Because it might look really bad.
No,
Like,
I
there's no
agree.
way.
I
I
agree with
almost
you.
think anyone who signs Jacob DeGrom is stupid.
Well,
Because
he's going to LA, right? Like he's going
if
to
you
LA.
think that's going to work, he said he wants to go to Texas today. But if you think that's going to work, you're wrong. It's not. It's not going to work. Your deal is
He
going to
played at
almost.
Stetson, right? He played
Yeah.
at Stetson. Yeah.
But don't you agree that that deal is almost guaranteed to be horrible in 3 years?
Absolutely.
So why do you do it? Why would
So it's
anyone
the thing that
consider
I've
it?
been arguing with people, not arguing, discussing, because I don't like the word argument. But it's the same thing I've been saying about Rodon. I think Rodon last year, San Francisco, they do wonders out there. They really do, and he was
I hope he
incredible.
goes
They did
back.
the same. They did the same thing with Kevin Gosman, and then Gosman gets to 22 mil a year, which, by the way, you and I would have loved to have had him here. But he did regress. He looks like a 3.6, 3.5 ERA in Toronto.
It's not a good
You could
season.
argue was still very good, but not what he was the year before.
No.
Rodon has had injury problems. He's been in the 4 and 5 ERA. Maybe he has found something new, right? Maybe this is who he is. But I would be very leery to give him 3 to 5 years at 25 mil AAV if I were any organization.
Projections are
That's all
saying
I'm
he's going to
saying.
get 30 mil a year.
That, good for him.
But
By the way,
here's the
good
thing.
for him.
I will say Rodon, his peripherals are fantastic, and
They are.
the only thing you worry about him is injuries, but everything else, if he's healthy, he's on the field, he's going to be good. I'm very
But his
confident in
first
saying that.
5 years, his ERA not good and his
He
whip
figured
not good.
something out, Dad. He figured
Yeah,
something out. I
that's
don't know
well,
what it was, but
maybe
he figured something out.
that's the thing with pitching.
I'm saying
maybe.
his peripherals of all the stats behind what's happening, none of it's fluky. In fact, a lot of it's saying he should be performing better. He's really, really good. I would be very concerned signing him because of injuries, but that'd be the only.
That's all I'm saying. Right. That's all I'm saying. So I agree. So hey, the next 2 weeks are going to be when's the winter meeting start? December.
First week of December, first or second week of December.
Usually the first or second week of December. That could be interesting. It doesn't mean anything. You know, everybody always says, "Oh, that's when things happen." Sometimes it does. Sometimes it doesn't. You never
That's when we
know.
got Goldie.
You're right. It will be interesting to see what happens. We do know that the Cardinals are going to add a catcher. We don't know who. We do know that they're probably going to get a bat at some point. We don't know who. I think that they have to get a bullpen arm. I really do. I think if you can shorten that game with our 5 starters, we saw it with Quintana in the postseason. We saw it with Houston all the way through. We saw it with Atlanta the year before. We saw it with even the Phillies, who Wheeler and Nola weren't great in the postseason. They had a couple of good outings. They weren't great. Everybody's yelling this ace, ace, ace. If you have 2 to 3 guys in the postseason who can get you through 5 innings with 2 or less runs, and you can turn it over to a bullpen that can come at you with Hicks, let's say a Suarez, Cabrera, who if he's healthy, Gallegos, Helsley. Who am I missing here? Palante. I'm missing somebody else.
I think you covered it.
Okay, I mean, if you
I really
can do
like
that,
Montero as an option, man. He's so good. He is so
do
so
what?
good.
Yeah, so
Rafael
Montero.
Montero.
That's
He
what I'm
is so
saying, though.
good. He's gonna get
If
paid
you
though.
can do that, that's the game now. It's not get your starters 7 innings. You don't need, especially, and the stats are out there, and you can say, well, stats are. I agree. Stats are not everything, but they are. That when you get to the third time through the lineup, for most pitchers, it's not all. For most, right? I mean,
The argument
it's
I've been
not.
using against aces, people saying you need aces to win in the postseason. You need it. Sure, in the 3-game series, which you should be trying not to get in, sure, there maybe. But look at the aces in this postseason. Almost all of them were not very good.
No.
Verlander, not good. Nola, not good. Wheeler's shaky because I think he was injured, so I won't really hold that against him. Max Fried, very bad.
Yeah.
Who are the other ones? They weren't very good. Shane Bieber wasn't very good.
No.
I mean, it was not like Justin Verlander. I think I might have already said him.
Garrett Cole. I don't remember
Never
what
been
Cole
good.
did.
Garrett Cole was fine.
Yeah.
Like Garrett Cole was really good in his first start. Garrett Cole was good, but he wasn't like, he didn't do anything more than Quintana did.
Yeah. I mean, and if you look at it also, hey, DeGrom, Scherzer, Mets didn't win.
There's no Max Scherzer was horrible. He had like 7 runs, and
right.
DeGrom was just okay.
Yeah, that's all these people who love to yell, you need an ace. You don't. And also, let's not forget, if we have a healthy Jack Flaherty, that's a legit number 1 pitcher. I'm not calling him an ace because I think you have to earn that over time. All right. But he is a legit number 1 pitcher. And again, I'll say it again, starting pitching in our postseason losses were not our problem.
They haven't been hit ever.
We didn't hit. And if you don't up the offense, which has been our thing, you go back to like Facebook, that's been our thing since 2012. We didn't hit.
The thing that can combat not having an ace, getting an offense that can hit aces.
Yep.
Look at the teams that win. The Phillies were dogging everybody they were hitting until they got to the Astros. The Astros hit off of everybody. They don't just pick and choose. It doesn't matter what your name is. Wheeler, Nola, fine, we're going to score off of you. Like, that's what you need. And you're telling me that if the Cardinals go out there and score 3 runs off of a Zach Wheeler and Quintana goes out there and gives them what he gave them, you win the game.
Absolutely.
So that's what you need. I mean, I love the idea of an ace. I love the idea of having Carlos Rodon if it was a good deal. But let's be realistic here. One, they're not going to spend that money. We just figured that out today.
Right.
2, Rodon, I mean, maybe years 1 and 2 would be great, maybe. But then years 3, 4, and 5, they might be horrible. And look at how glad we are that they didn't get David Price.
Yeah, right.
Like, they almost did. They didn't get him. Thank God. Jason Hayward. Look how glad we are they didn't sign Jason Hayward. They almost did.
I know.
Like, so we can be critical of most free agency because the free agency he has signed have been horrible. But the ones he's almost signed that we've been mad that he didn't push over the edge, we all turn out to be glad he didn't get him, including Albert.
Wish you would have also missed on Dexter Fowler, by the way.
Yeah, me too. I wish he would have gotten outbid on Fowler and Andrew Miller, but he didn't. So,
but
whatever.
And who's the Brett Cecil? Could have missed on that one too.
Also, the guys that the Cardinals may be, Brett, I didn't want to talk about him. That's why I don't want Danny Jansen. I don't want Blue Jays with goggles on my team.
Drew Verhagen. Could have missed on him too.
I don't want Blue Jays with goggles on my team. Keep Danny Jansen away because Brett Cecil scarred me. But the thing that's interesting that just came out, Contreras, a guy that we are probably going to be in on at some point. Nemo, a guy that they might be in on. I don't know.
Now.
Who's the other guy we were just talking about that you said you'd like to see?
Peterson?
Jock. All extended qualifying offers. They will all be turning them down, I assume, which means the Cardinals probably won't be signing any of them.
Correct. That is true. Yep.
That's the way they've operated in the past. Yep. I could see they're not getting Jock Pearson if it costs them a draft pick.
No. I'm fine with that.
Which kind of sucks for him, by the way. Why would the Giants do that to him?
I know. I'm a Jock Peterson fan.
I hate the qualifying offer. Can we get that shit out of baseball? I hate that.
Yeah, I know. Well, it was. We thought it was.
It was, and then they threw in an international draft thing, which was stupid as well.
A couple things that I do think we need to hit before we get out of here. Since we last talked, also some pitching, some moves, coaching moves for the Cardinals that I think pitching coach. They promoted Dusty Blake. The guy's a Duke guy. Came highly recommended from people like Wayno and the other people on the staff. Look, that speaks enough for me. That's all I ever need to know. I don't need to know what I think on Twitter. Because I don't know. I do know that he's a much more analytical or looker. Either way, and it does seem like maybe he's a guy who really wants to look at guys who can miss bats, right? Like I think that is one of those things. All I know is to just wicked smart, and I think that's good. Like when you get those guys in baseball, that's a good thing. So shout out
I
to him.
think I think Jeff Albert was the offense moving in an analytical direction, and I think Dusty Blake is the pitching starting to do the same
Yep,
thing. And I think that'd be big. Hopefully, he gets some say in the minor league systems. Maybe that can start getting them to be able to develop some good pitchers like they've done with hitters. And credit to Jeff Albert. Well, I mean, we don't have to get into that far, but he turned that organization down there, the prospects for hitting
absolutely.
down around really quickly. I'm hoping Dusty Blake can do some of the same down there. So that's exactly what I wanted him to do, was to promote from within
Yep.
in that job.
And,
I
and all
didn't see the
things that,
advantage of going out and getting one
with
pitching
Jeff
coach.
Albert, all things that nobody wants to ever talk about. The
Yeah,
haters.
I don't care to
Yeah.
bring that back up.
Yeah.
But yes,
But
yes.
also speaking of Jeff Albert, shout out to Turner Ward, who's promoted from the assistant hitting coach to the hitting coach. Well deserved. I know that people like Goldie, Nolan, Pujols, Tommy, Tyler have spoken glowingly of him. People when he was with the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks have spoken glowingly of him. I think this is a guy who potentially might end up being a big league manager one day. Big baseball brain. And hey, I'm happy for him. He deserves it. When you work your ass off as an assistant to get promoted from within, that's very gratifying, I think.
I've got multiple thoughts on him. One, Turner Ward, unlike Jeff Albert's criticisms of, he never played in the big leagues. Turner Ward had about a dozen seasons in the big leagues, I believe, as about a league average baseball player. So he has the experience of being a baseball player in the big leagues. And also, if you want to know anything about Turner Ward, Paul Goldschmidt handpicked him to be in this organization. So,
right.
So that's all you need to know. Paul Goldschmidt brought him from Arizona to here because he's Paul Goldschmidt's guy. So I'm perfectly okay with him being here.
And I'm not saying that this is what you meant, but I do want to say that I do believe one of the most overrated, ridiculous takes in baseball is we have to have a major league guy as a hitting coach or a pitching coach.
I agree, but I do think there is value in having one at times.
Okay, Kevin Long is the hitting guru in baseball. The man never played one
That's
day
not,
in Major League.
Okay, who is that? Is that the Dodgers guy?
Kevin, dude, you run a baseball podcast. Kevin Long with the Phillies, who's with the Nationals.
Oh, okay.
Who has done?
I'm not. But you're misrepresenting what I'm saying. I'm saying there is a value to having a guy who's been there and done that in your dugout. There's a value to that.
I disagree.
You can't disagree with that. There is value, whether or not that's the end all be all, but there's definitely value to it. That's why Matt Holliday is the new bench coach.
Which we haven't gotten to. Thanks for ruining
That's
that.
what I'm saying. If there's value, but do you don't think there's a value to going up to Matt Holliday, who's been in the league, by the way, and saying, "Hey, what did you look for in the situation
what I'm
when you were
here?" Got guys on that. You've got guys on. As long as you have guys like that, like Ollie.
You're like completely taking what I said and spinning it in the wrong direction.
Played the big leagues.
I never said nobody played in the minor leagues, but I never said that Jeff Albert was bad at his job because of that. I said there's a value in having someone who's been there and done that as your hitting coach.
Okay, fair.
And you can't. Barry Bonds was a hitting coach for a reason.
Yeah, but there was also a reason he left because not everybody could hit like Barry Bonds, and it frustrated.
No, but he also made Christian Yelich one of the best players in baseball.
He did. He was great with the 3 superstars. It was the other guys that really pissed him off.
So that's what I'm saying. There's a value in having a guy who's been in the situation you're about to go be in.
Promotion to assistant hitting coach.
Oh gosh, you just threw me on the spot. I forgot. Hold
on. I'm sorry.
Let me pull his name up.
Escapes me. From Memphis hitting coach, pulled up to the big shout out to him too.
Brandon Allen.
That's it.
And happy for him. I think once again, I believe experience is big. Apparently, my father does not.
I didn't say that.
You basically did. You said I don't agree. That's exactly what you said.
I didn't say that.
Anyway, I think it's big that Nolan Gorman, pray to God he's still here. Alec Burleson, if he's still here, Donovan, all those young guys, Yepes, are going to have a familiar face in the dugout. I think that's big. Jordan Walker, I don't know if he's worked with Brandon Allen. I'm assuming they probably have. But I think it's big to have a guy that knows your swing, that you're comfortable with, and not just have another voice in the
agreed.
Clubhouse.
Agreed. And then finally, which Caleb,
everyone knows by now. It's not this.
What is the phrase? Something about buried the headline. Whatever. Matt Holliday as bench coach, which I think that's awesome. I was, and I know you were too, but I'll let you get to this here in a second. I was surprised simply because he has said that maybe he wanted a little bit more time. Wasn't necessarily ready for that 162 grind. His son's going to be a high school junior, probably the next number 1 pick in 2 years in the Holliday household. I'm happy for him. I'm geeked he's here. I think he will be great as a bench coach. I was perfect. I was on the Stubby clap for bench coach simply because whoever's the Cardinals bench coach becomes a major league manager, and I'd love to see Stubby get a shot at that. But I'm pumped to have Matt Holliday back in the Cardinals organization.
Yeah, it's great. I wasn't surprised. We talked about this yesterday, but you guys won't see that, so I guess I'll say it again. He had been on a bunch of podcasts and like radio shows saying that he wasn't that not that he was interested, but his tone had changed drastically from a couple months prior when he was saying, "Well, I'm not ready yet," but at the time Skip was still there. To now, job's open. It's Ollie, one of his best friends, which is one of the big things we don't talk about. Him and Ollie are really, really good friends. And now it's open and the job's there. And he said he was talking to Mo, and it did not surprise me when that news came out. I was very happy. I think it's good to have experience like Matt Holliday in the clubhouse and in the dugout. I think that's big. I think it can help people. And I think it's also I wouldn't be surprised if he's very involved in the hitting. I wouldn't be surprised if he's in those meetings, if he's there and he's helping guys hit because he's Matt Holliday. He's won a batting title. He's won the best hit. I mean, his stats. That dude's the level right below Hall of Famer, right with Jim Edmonds. So,
Yeah.
so I think it's cool to have him back in the clubhouse.
Yeah, me too. So that's about it. That's all we got on the Cardinal front because again, we don't know shit about fuck. That's all we know, right? Like right now, we just don't know.
I'm fascinated. I really am to see what they're
Same.
gonna do. I think Mo gets some unfair
I'm
criticism
nervous.
because people get mad at the money they spend and say it's Mo. I guarantee you, Mo would have loved to have Bryce Harper because it's a no-brainer move for him where he can have Bryce Harper on his team. The guy that signs the check at the end of the day goes
Yeah.
to is Mr. DeWitt. We'll see what he wants to do. But I think Mo's gonna have to get
Agreed.
creative with whatever budget he has. I don't know what the budget is. They haven't been public with it, but he's just gonna have to get creative with it.
No,
I
that's
will say the one thing that will continue to get me excited is whatever he told Nolan Arenado was good enough for him to say, "Fine, not going to go look for more money, and I'm going to stay here." So whatever that was.
you froze.
Sorry, am I good now?
Okay, you froze there for a minute, but
Am I
think
good?
they probably got it on your. So, all right. So yes, so there we go with the Cardinals. We will stay next time. Our next pod, we're going to come to you and we're going to go over the base MLB free agents and kind of go about where maybe we'll see some things, and by then maybe we know a few more things. Who knows? Man, it's a fluid situation. It's going to change every day. Look at what happened today. We woke up this morning and all of a sudden we had to pay Adam Wainwright $17.5 million instead of $7.5. So that's a big difference. One, you might notice the new digs here. I am live from the 504. We have moved down to New Orleans. It has been a hell week. I can't talk about it yet, so we're not going to talk about it on the pod, only because I'm not mentally prepared to talk about it. But here we are. Here we are.
And if any news drops, we will be back talking to you guys about the Cardinals if that happens. But just be prepared. It's not like last year. This free agency is probably going to get drawn out until spring training.
Yeah.
Who knows what we're going to do?
Continue to follow us on the Twitters. Hey, at Caleb Noble08, at Mike Noble08. Hey, how about that? That's how it worked out.
You took my number? You bitch.
Well, that's my number. That was my number in high school and college. You stole my number, but there we go. And then also, we're going to be running the pod. It's obviously still at More You Noble Sports Podcast, but that's going to be changed. Caleb's going to update all the Twitter stuff tonight. I'm going to update all the Facebook stuff. Nothing else will change. The content remains the same. Sorry about that. Hopefully we get some more guests. That's one thing we're really shooting. We kind of shoot for that last year. Kind of was with the move for me with my retirement. It made everything a little bit more difficult. Caleb going back up to U of I. Now that we're settled, I think that's going to give us some time. Also, by the time we were prepared to have some guests, it was really the hectic time for them. So I think we're going to have no problem getting some guys on. We're hoping to deliver you guys more Cardinal content and a lot more MLB content from around the country as well. That's welcome to season 3. That's pretty awesome. Shout out to us.
Yeah, I'm excited. It should be a fun off season.
Yeah.
One way or another, we're going to be disappointed, or we're going to be happy, or we're going to be meh, which is still disappointed, kind of. And we're going to cover it. I'm excited to whatever it is. I'm excited to see what our reaction is on here.
Yep.
So be here.
And probably what Caleb just said, we'll be excited, disappointed, or sad. Also sums up all of our podcasts. So there's that as well.
Excited? Yeah. I mean, yeah, really. Honestly.
So, hey, thanks again for joining us again. At Mike Noble08, that's me. At Caleb Noble08, that's him from the jail cell on U of I. Hopefully we have a new print on the wall. We're going to the French Quarter tomorrow to shop for a new print. So maybe that'll be cool. And then Caleb will have everything updated on Twitter. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. We will talk to you soon. Cheers.